Hey guys, it's March once again and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be doing two things at the same time. We are going to be cooking my favorite Asian dish, which is chicken broccoli, and at the same time I will be talking about the difference of my nursing career or my nursing path from working in the Philippines, Kuwait, and the US. So basically I will be preparing a meal, and at the same time I will do a little chit chat and a comparison of how I evolved as a nurse working in the Philippines, Kuwait, and the US. Okay guys, so if you are interested to prepare the meal, all you need is chicken thigh or chicken breast, it's whatever you want, and then broccoli. So you just have to chop the broccoli, slice the chicken into strips. You need garlic, which is minced garlic. You need sesame oil and probably about 1.5 to a couple spoonful of flour. We're gonna be melting the flour and we're gonna add that at the very last part of the cooking because that's gonna give a little bit of a thickness to the consistency of our dish. Alright guys, so I'm gonna be preparing the ingredients. I'm chopping the broccoli right now, and then at the same time we will talk about my nursing experience. Okay, so as you all know, I'm from the Philippines. I was born and raised there, and so I went to college in the Philippines. To be specific, I was in Manila. Then I graduated in the year 2005. So if you do the math, you guys are gonna know what my age is. I don't really care. Then after graduating in 2005, I took the local boards to become a nurse, and luckily, I passed. So early 2006, I was already a registered nurse in the Philippines. I was ready to work. And so the first thing I did when I got my license is I went ahead and applied for jobs in Manila. However, it was super difficult to get a permanent job as a nurse back then because there's so many nurses, and at the same time, the hospitals were taking advantage of the new nurses. So you are working as either a volunteer, and then when there is a spot available to be filled up, then they're gonna probably hire you as a contractual or a permanent nurse if you're lucky. Going back, I wasn't able to find a permanent job in Manila. I was searching and searching, but I was not lucky. Everything was just volunteer. So I went back to the province where I came from, which is Isabela. It's Isabela, which is about 10 to 12 hours away from Manila by land. So you either travel by land or air, but so just for you guys to know the distance, it's very far. It's about 12 hours drive. So I went back to the province, and luckily I was able to get a job in the local hospital in my town, which is a municipal hospital. So it's a very, very small hospital, and you are only paid 8,000 pesos a month. So that's roughly $170, something like that. Basta less than $200 a month. So that was my salary in the Philippines for a month. It wasn't enough. It was, I mean, the lifestyle in the Philippines is pretty cheap and simple, but then, you know, knowing me, I like so many things. I wasn't happy with my salary, and I was aiming for something more than that. So what I did is I quit my job in the province and I went to Manila, and I applied as a company nurse. So I was successful. I was hired by MaxiCare, and MaxiCare is a health insurance, so they will assign you in different companies all over Manila, and you're gonna be working as a company nurse. So whichever company they're gonna have to assign you, you're basically taking care of the employees in that company where you're gonna be assigned. In my case, I was sent to a call center. So I was the company nurse of a certain, you know, big call center company in the Philippines. So it was good. I was making double of what I used to get paid in the province. I was receiving 8,000 pesos, so naging 15,000 pesos na siya, which is $300. So I was happy. $300 in the Philippines, guys, back then is a good amount of money for you to work as a nurse, because not everybody gets that salary. So, you know, I worked for, I don't know, I think over a year almost 2 years. Of course, I'm not satisfied again. I feel like working as a company nurse wasn't very fulfilling and rewarding. Well, I got a little curious actually in the middle of me working as a nurse, because I was taking care of call center agents, and I heard that they were actually making a very good salary. I think they were making around 25,000 pesos, which is about $400 to $500 a month. And you as a nurse won't make that at all. So what I did is I quit my job as a what do you call that, company nurse, and then I applied as a call center agent for I think a year, and I kind of enjoyed it for a little while, but then I felt like the real calling for me is to become a nurse. But I wanted to work in a hospital. I wanted to work bedside. I wanted to be a real nurse. Okay, so eventually, you know, as I started to internalize, what am I doing? Why am I working as a call center agent? I'm a licensed registered nurse. I should go back to the hospital. I should practice my profession. And I wanted to be a good nurse. I wanted to fulfill my career. I mean, I went to school for 4 years. I have a bachelor's degree. What am I doing here? I need to go back to nursing, but being a nurse in the Philippines wasn't a good idea. So that's when I started thinking of working overseas. So I had a little bit of nursing experience. So I started submitting resume, but then before that, my very main goal was to actually become a nurse here in the States. Ever since I was young, I've always wanted to be in the States. I've always wanted to live in New York. It was just like a childhood dream. So in order for me to fulfill that, I started going back not in school, but I started reviewing for NCLEX. That way I can be a licensed nurse in the US. So I took the NCLEX exams and I passed, and that was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. So in the year 2008, it was already so difficult to come to the US as a nurse. So sobrang hirap na because of retrogression. So retrogression is when the US was only able to provide a certain amount of visas for nurses that are aiming to come over to the US. Since retrogression started in 2006, I was already one of the nurses that was gonna be affected by the retrogression automatically. So I was already an NCLEX passer in 2008. Then I got a job to work in the US. And the same year, I was interviewed by a hospital that is based here in New York, and I made it, I passed it, I got the job. However, it's gonna take me years before I get to the US because of the retrogression. So my second option was that I can just go ahead and work either in Australia or in the Middle East, just so while I'm waiting for my US visa to be approved to work as a nurse here, then I'm still making a decent amount of money and not sacrificing working in the Philippines because the pay sucks. So what I did is I started submitting resume everywhere. I was actually aiming to work in Australia, but then you need a lot of money. So I thought of working in Saudi Arabia, because back then Saudi Arabia was very popular destination for nurses to work because it's easy to work there, the pay is quite decent, and at the same time the processing is pretty quick. I don't know, siguro hindi talaga meant na mag-work ako sa Saudi Arabia kasi I submitted a lot of resume in different agencies pero na-reject. It's either na-reject or kung what do you call that? Ma-interview man ako ng employer, I don't know, hindi ako nakapasa. Ayaw nila sa akin. Diba? So ayun, what I did is I posted my resume online, and then one day I got a call from an agency asking if I was interested to apply for Kuwait. So I was totally clueless of what Kuwait is. The only thing I knew about Kuwait is the name of the country itself, but living in Kuwait, you know, just the general things about a certain country, wala akong alam. I just know that Kuwait is an existing country in the Middle East, and I never thought of going to Kuwait and work there. Then the agency actually informed me that if I wanted to work in Kuwait, the hospital is one of the biggest hospitals in Kuwait, and it's one of the highest, it's actually the highest paying hospital in Kuwait. So it was very intriguing and, you know, exciting at the same time, and I said yes. So here comes the day that they were so here comes the day that the employers from Kuwait were interviewing nurses. And to make it short, yes, I made it. I got the job. I was so happy. And then in a few months, I think in a couple months, everything was ready and I was going to Kuwait. So Kuwait just out of nowhere existed. So my Kuwait job existed out of nowhere. I was not expecting. I did not want to go to Kuwait. I think it's destiny for me to go to Kuwait. So everything was ready. Things are packed. I was ready to go to Kuwait. I ended up working. So the thing is, when I arrived in Kuwait, I ended up working for a very long time. I enjoyed Kuwait. At first, it was like a big shock for me because I arrived in Kuwait during Ramadan, and Ramadan is such a holy month from our brothers and sisters. So as a nurse in Kuwait, even if your skills are very good, even if your skills are excellent, everything has to be doctor-centric, which means lahat ng gagawin mo, everything you do has to depend on what the doctor thinks, what the doctor says, and what the doctor decides. So, okay, let's continue the storytelling. Hold on. So, I just put in the oil and I'm gonna put some garlic. So, let's continue the storytelling. One good thing that I really like about Kuwait as, you know, a nurse is that the nursing community is very nice, very supportive. I have a lot of Filipino, Indian, Pakistani, Iranian colleagues or nurses that I work with that are very helpful, and actually we're very good nurses as well. My skills as a nurse was actually developed fully in Kuwait. I started as a nurse there, you know, as a very junior nurse that came from a very small hospital in the Philippines with very limited resources, and my experience wasn't very good. So when I arrived in Kuwait, I think I was one of the nurses that wasn't very good skill-wise, and I admit it, I wasn't a very good nurse. You know, everybody at one point in their career, I'm sure you guys would agree with me na, you know, you're not very good at first, bakit ka lang, ganon. Wasn't very good, I think, as I remember, because not a lot of nurses were happy to work with me. Not a lot of them were pleased to work with me. Maybe because, I don't know, maybe because I wasn't very good with my skills, or they're, you know, kind of tired teaching me what to do, and they're probably expecting that, you know, I should already know what I am supposed to do, knowing that I had, you know, a couple years of experience working in the Philippines as a nurse. But then again, I came from a very small hospital with limited resources, and sobrang konti ng experience ko when it comes to gadgets, you know, when it comes to high-tech gadgets, and when it comes to, you know, the kinds of patients that we were handling in that hospital was very easy patients because it's a municipal hospital. So you don't expect to take care of like cardiac patients that are going to be, you know, arresting. You don't have like hip surgeries. You don't have a lot of major things in that hospital where I came from. So, you know, my experience was very kind of limited. But then, you know, I also had nurses that I worked with that were very helpful and very supportive, that was never sick and tired of teaching me on how I'm supposed to do my tasks or to function properly as a nurse in any given situation or in any given case that I would handle. So yeah, I'm always grateful to those nurses, my mentors, my senior nurses and charge nurses that were fully supportive of me. And if not because of them, I wouldn't be the kind of nurse that I am right now. I wouldn't have the skills and the you know, the mentality of a nurse that I have right now if not because of them. And to those nurses who kind of bullied me and challenged me, I don't care. I don't care talaga. Nothing. I have nothing against them. I mean, you know, it's life. It happens. Some people don't like you. Some people don't get pleased with you. Who cares, you know? I'm not living my life to please anybody. I was just there to work and to make money. You know, I was just there to make a living. That was my main purpose. I wasn't there to do anything other than, you know, professional growth and, of course, financial growth. And I just, you know, went on with my nursing career and life in Kuwait. And to be fair, Kuwait is my second home. Kuwait is a country I love so much. Up until this very moment, I have so many good and wonderful memories that I will cherish for the rest of my life. I have developed have developed the strongest bond of friendship in Kuwait. Most of my bestest friends in life and the people that I would consider as my forever friends when it comes to life, career, and just about everything are still in Kuwait. And I still talk to them and I tell them every day that I miss them. Okay, so yeah, so to sum it up, Kuwait is a good country to work at because it's tax-free. Everything you make is basically just your take-home. Practice-wise, the only thing is that you're not very independent because you are mostly relying on whatever the doctor says. You cannot make decisions on your own. And then you have a lot of support system because there's so many Filipinos and there's so many people around that you can ask help from. Also, the resources are pretty cool. It's very high-tech. You know, the things we use were up to date, very advanced technology-wise, and the medications we use were actually very good quality. They came from the US or, you know, Europe. And what else? The things we use were just the same as the things we're using here in the US. So when I compare the gadgets or, you know, the things we utilize in the hospital in Kuwait and the US, standard wise, I would just say it is almost the same.
You're the night sky trying to make me see your stars, but the dark gets so lonely. Now I see violet.
Alright guys, we're gonna continue the conversation. So now we're gonna talk about how it is to be a nurse here in the US. I arrived here, to be exact, September of 2017, so that's like almost 3 years ago. I was expecting that I'm going to be working in the emergency room. However, there was no opening that time, so I ended up in a med-surg floor, which is specifically orthopedic, spines, plastics, neurosurgery, and mixed med-surg patients. So our main focus is patients that are suffering from spine injuries and brain injuries. So yun yung naging experience ko dito. So here I come, new nurse from a totally different country and totally different department. So I was a little scared because maybe my expertise is definitely not, you know, as good as the people in the floor. But then again, the good thing here in the US is very helpful naman ang mga nurses. I happen to be trained by a Filipino nurse, which is good kasi mas madali yung pagturo kasi syempre Tagalog, we speak in Tagalog. And I think my experience as a nurse actually in Kuwait helped me a lot kasi yung basic knowledge and skills, alam mo yun, nandun na yun. So you're good in critical thinking, you're good in doing IVs. So it actually helped me through my orientation process get quick and easy. So I was independent on my own after I think a little over 2 months. Speaking of that, the good thing about the US is that if you're a nurse here, you're totally independent. Every nursing function possible that you're supposed to be independent, you do it. You don't need a doctor for simple things here. You can actually scan the patient's bladder if you feel like the patient is not peeing. So kung hindi umihi yung pasyente mo, i-scan mo yan. Di ba na kailangan tunanin yung doctor? You can't be like, yeah, tabi, but do I need to do this and do that? No, it's like, common sense, girl, go ahead and do it, okay? What else? Inserting an IV, you don't need to call anybody. Hooking in equipment to the patient if you know the patient needs BiPAP, CPAP, anything that they need, na equipment na knowledgeable ka, you can go ahead and use it. Okay, so one more thing, dito, we have a group of nurses called clinical support. So pag merong task or there are certain doctor's order na nakasulat sa, sa computer na hindi mo magawa, if you cannot perform a certain task, you just have to call the clinical support team, and they will go to your area and they will actually do that procedure for you. So yeah, we do have a clinical support team. Guys, so we have another team which is called the Rapid Response Team, which is a team of nurses again. Na if your patient is not doing very well and you think that the patient is going downhill, hindi pa naman siya to the point na magko-code blue or magka-cardiac arrest, you can page the rapid response team. So these are skilled nurses that can do a lot of procedures na usually ginagawa ng doctors sa Kuwait. So dito, nurses ang gumagawa, like mag-insert ng NGT, mag-insert ng cord track, maglagay ng mga PICC lines, central lines, sterile procedures, maraming procedures dito na nurses ang gumagawa. So you don't need doctor all the time sa side mo kasi they will train you here to do your independent function, your independent skills. And the only time na actually may doctor na kasama yung group of nurses na pupunta sa area mo pag yung patient mo is not doing very well is when it's actually code blue, because sometimes you need to intubate a patient. You might need anesthesiologists, of course you need a doctor to order specific procedures and specific medications. Pero sometimes there are also very trained nurses that can do the intubation, and everything is just like very independent here. Also, we don't call our doctors here by, we don't call them doctor all the time. We call them by first name. So dito ang tawag mo sa doctor is by first name. We call them Matt, Simon, or John, whatever the name of the doctor is. And when you need some orders, okay, so let's say your patient needs something here, out of antibiotics or IV fluids, anything that you need, you just call the doctor and you're like, hey Matt, I need so-and-so for my patient. He ran out of IV antibiotics. I need vancomycin. Can I go ahead and put in one-time order under your name, or can I just continue the order under your name? And then pag nag-yes na siya, you go ahead to the computer, put it in, you're done. Guys, so we also have nurse practitioners here sa US. So nurse practitioners is a more advanced study in nursing. So you're technically gonna go back to school and then mag-enroll ka to become a nurse practitioner. Tapos pag natapos mo siya, you can basically act like a doctor. The only thing you don't do is, I think, do the surgery itself, but you can basically admit a patient, discharge a patient, pwede ka rin mag-order ng medication. So a lot of the doctor's tasks can be done by a nurse practitioners. So yun. So kung walang doctor, there's another form of nurse, or there's another level of nursing that is available in a hospital that does most of the doctor's work. So we call them nurse practitioners. So you can choose your own specialty if you wanted to be a pediatric nurse practitioner, or adult nurse practitioner, like taking care of the adult population. Ganon. Alright guys, so here is the chicken broccoli. It looks like that. I think the chicken is a little overdone, but it's still good. Yung broccoli, usually I like the broccoli a little bit more crunchy, but dito sa bahay, here at home, they want it to be, overcooked. They want the broccoli to be well done. So yeah, I hope you guys were able to catch up on how I made the chicken broccoli, and at the same time, I hope you guys enjoyed my little chit chat about my nursing experience working in 3 different countries. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, just click the subscribe button. And if you want to drop a comment, feel free to comment down below. And again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye.